Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle. And to my latest episode here, I'm trying out something a little bit different here. Not quite sure what I'm going to brand it yet. Still talking that over with Jana and trying to figure that out. But something along the lines of like a show and tell or a physical media corner or something along those lines where I just show off a piece of physical media that I have in my collection. Mostly stuff that I've received recently that I haven't been able to get into like a deeper review on, but I want to still showcase some cool stuff that I've received and that I think is worth your attention if you're interested in the same kind of music as me. Basically just a chance to show off all of the great pieces I'm adding to my collection as it grows and expands. I'm a big lover of physical media. I collect CDs, I collect vinyl, I collect Blu-rays as well, 4K Blu-ray. I just love it all. I'm a big fan of owning your own property, owning physical versions of the things that you love, so you're not beholden to some streaming service or something of that nature, because things can get pulled. They can change things about the media that you enjoy. But if you have your own hard copy at home, that's yours to keep, and you have ownership of it. So it's just mainly a way for me to ease my anxiety about ever losing access to the stuff that I love the most, knowing that I have a hard copy here if anything ever goes awry with the digital versions that I also have access to as well. So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about the new Gentle Giant release. This is Playing the Fool Live, their kind of new redone version of it that they've released recently, that I just recently listened to / watched, and I want to talk a bit about it. And before I get into the album proper, I want to talk a little bit about live albums, since this is a live album by the band. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with live albums. I was considering doing a whole show just based on this topic itself, because I'd be curious your thoughts. Maybe you could let me know in the comments here. That for me, I tend to prefer studio albums, very much over live albums. I feel like live albums aren't really the pristine version of the album that the band intended. It's a little bit more raw, and it just, when I'm listening to a band's discography, I tend to lean towards their studio product that just sounds a bit more pristine and a bit more like the way the band intended for it to sound to an audience. I love watching live performances. I love going to concerts. I love concert DVDs and concert Blu-rays, but I just won't tend to put on an audio-only version of a live show. Usually, there's some exceptions, obviously, but that's just my preference. I'd rather put together my own makes of because a lot of people act like live albums are almost like a greatest hits collection of some of their favorite bands, but I'd rather just put the studio tracks in a collection that I enjoy and listen to it as a playlist rather than listening to a live album. Just a personal preference of mine. But if a band is going to do a live album, I prefer them to do things a little bit different. That's when things get interesting, is when the band take the tracks that you know and love, but twist them a little bit, or do different arrangements, or a different cool solo that you didn't expect. Those are the moments that make it worth it. So there's certain live albums and certain live tracks that certainly do something a little bit different and make it worthwhile. Maybe add a little bit of energy that is missing on the studio track, or add alternate sections and things like that. That's really cool to me. Or make a medley or a different arrangement. That stuff I'm all on board with. But if it's just a standard recreation of the same studio track, I'd rather listen to the studio, because it's just better quality and more in line with what the band wanted to present with that track originally. So, but I love this Gentle Giant live album, Playing the Fool, because they really take the tracks to a different level. They like to embellish and do things a little bit differently than they did on the studio versions, and that makes it for an interesting listen. So it's always been one that's kind of gone against format for me and made me really love a live album, which is quite an incredible feat. So I had to pick up this newly redone version, and I really love the packaging here. This is the 2 CD Blu-ray package here. A lot to enjoy with the packaging. A lot of pictures of the band, of course. You have the 2 CDs right there in those sleeves. A cool, nice sized booklet as well. Going through it, there's a lot of information, a lot of stuff about the creation of this album, all the live shows, all of the drama of the band, and all that kind of stuff. It's really fascinating to read through this. I put the Blu-ray on and just read through all of those details about what happened with this live album and what came about from it. And there's even a little booklet. I guess it's not a booklet. It's more like a fold-out poster kind of thing. But you get a lot in the packaging, which I think is really enjoyable. There's also a 2 CD version of this, and then there's also a vinyl version, which I'm considering also getting the vinyl version as well, just because I'm obsessive that way and I like getting things in multiple formats. But, we'll see. That's on my wish list, maybe for my birthday or something along those lines. But this is the 2025 Dan Bornermark makes and production here. And the Blu-ray, which is what I was really excited about, has a Dolby Atmos mix. That's what I listened to this in my home setup, home system, home theater. And it was a really enjoyable experience to hear the sound coming from several different angles, to kind of get the feel that you're in the middle of this live performance where sound's coming from different areas of the room like it would in a live performance. And they've added back in some tracks that weren't on the original release of this live album. On the original Playing the Fool, they didn't have a few of the tracks. I'm not sure I remember offhand which ones they are, but it's cool that they brought back in the whole show. I guess the whole concept of this live recreation here is to make it feel like you're at an actual live show, and this is the actual track listing in order that they were playing the songs in at the time. And it's taken from several different live performances, I believe like 4 different live performances. They kind of cherry-picked the best sounding ones and put those together as a kind of compilation, but they put it together in such a way that it feels like it's just one singular continuous show, and they even include like the between song banter and things like that. And the band is just amazing. They're firing on all cylinders. They're some of the greatest musicians of all time. I'm a huge Gentle Giant fan. I know they're not for everybody, but I think everyone can agree that they're amazing musicians, and just cool that they have multiple talents. They play several different instruments. They do these crazy a cappella vocal sections that they're well known for, and it all comes across beautifully live, and I just absolutely love this release. And it's a great track list as well, just like every classic song that you can imagine from the band. I love the excerpts from Octopus is one of my favorite moments. Obviously, that's one of my favorite prog albums ever, so I really love that. This apparently was a live performance right after the release of Interview, I believe, so there's a few tracks from Interview. This was basically when the band was at the peak of their powers. A lot of people would say that after this record, they kind of started a downward trajectory with The Missing Piece, followed by Giant for a Day and Civilian. I actually love a lot of stuff on those records, so I'm not quite sure I'm in the same camp. I do think Giant for a Day is probably their weakest effort, but I think, Civilian is severely underrated. And Missing Piece has some incredible stuff on it as well. So one of the strongest discographies to me of any band that I've listened to, and I really love the band, and I love these live performances. They really shine and showcased a band full of energy and vigor and excitement, and I'm just really happy to add this to my collection. Even though I have the original CD version that I've picked up in the past, this was well worth getting the new version for the new mixes, for adding in a couple more additional tracks that I really love. And I just wholeheartedly recommend it if you guys are interested. So be curious about your thoughts. I'm sure many of you have heard this release, have it in your collection as well. And I'd be curious if you have thoughts on it in the comments below. And comments, like I said, about live albums. And if you have thoughts about if you prefer live albums, or if you're like me and kind of prefer the studio in most cases. But thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully you like this format of just a quick shot. Talk about my collection and something I've gotten recently. I really want to get back into some of my live DVDs, live Blu-rays that I've gotten recently, and talk about those kind of first and foremost. I have the Haken set that came out recently, and I want to watch that and talk about that in a upcoming episode. John Anderson and the Band Geeks came out with a live album not too long ago, as well as Riverside. So those are some on the docket that I want to talk about in this kind of format, along with some other like vinyl and CDs that I've gotten recently. So thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully you appreciated this, and I'll catch you guys in a future episode. Bye everybody. Enjoy the music.